Welcome to the official YouTube channel of Preternia.com. I'm your host AJ, and today I'm going to be doing an unboxing and mini review of the Masters of the Universe Revelation Hero Masterverse figure. Now to the left I have the Orlax of Preternia. This was part of the Mysteries of Grayskull PowerCon exclusive. I believe it was 2021. And to the right of Hero, I have King Grayskull, the Masterverse Revelation figure. And I'm going to explain why I have these both out in a minute. But first, let's take a look at the packaging. So again, we have beautiful artwork. And I just want to say, even though the artwork is terrific, it's a beautiful illustration. It's really not my style. But I still can appreciate the artistry of Vincent Wang and the creativity it took to bring this Masterverse Eternian Legend to life. Now behind Hero, we have Eternia, otherwise known as Preternia in Masters of the Universe Revelation. But you can see the monorail and you can see the three towers, and it's really cool to see that there. So first I want to talk to you about this figure's bio, because I actually have 3 separate issues with this bio. Normally I don't spend much time on this, but I have to call them out. And as I read this bio, and if it sounds confusing, like I missed a word or I'm screwing up the grammar, I'm not actually reading it incorrectly. This is exactly how it reads. It reads, Hero, heroic cosmic warrior, armed with the magical sword of He and cosmic armor from the Temple of Power, Hero protected Eternia, the Snake Men, and the Horde Empire. This ancestor of He-Man fought alongside the other heroes in the ultimate battleground and sacrificed himself to save King Grayskull. So if that sounded funny to you within that first sentence where it says Hero protected Eternia, the Snake Men, and the Horde Empire, yeah. So clearly it looks like it was supposed to say Hero protected Eternia from both the Snake Men and the Horde Empire. But someone didn't proofread this box. And what are we talking about? 40 words on packaging? I mean, and I imagine this is like someone's job here to proofread this box. So the fact that they could get such a small bio wrong in regards to grammar is really disappointing. I don't try to be anything other than positive, but come on, this is really a silly mistake. My second issue with this bio is the first part. It says, armed with the magical sword of He and cosmic armor from the Temple of Power. So when I look at the figure of Hero, I see his cosmic armor, but I don't see the sword of He. Now, I am perfectly fine with Hero not having the sword of He, because he didn't have the sword in Masters of the Universe Revelation. But all I suggest is, if you're not going to have the sword, don't say he's armed with the magical sword of He. Just leave that out. And then people who maybe not necessarily are familiar with Hero would be looking at this package wondering, where's the sword? And you couldn't blame them for that. And then my third issue here is that it says here that Hero fought alongside the other heroes in the ultimate battleground and sacrificed himself to save King Grayskull. It's a minor issue, except this is the Hero from the Filmation Masters of the Universe Revelation continuity. And at least in the shows and in the Masters of the Universe Revelation prequel comics, it did not indicate that Hero actually sacrificed himself to save King Grayskull. I understand there's other lore that's not connected to Revelation, but in Revelation, all that we learned is that the Orlax here basically accidentally killed Hero's brother there, and that King Grayskull was the father to both Hero and Dare, and Hero was just known as Ro. But we never actually learned that Hero sacrificed himself later in life to save King Grayskull. So is this a spoiler? Is this something we're possibly going to see in Masters of the Universe Revolution? I'm not sure. I guess we'll find out. So enough about the packaging and the bio. Now it's time to take a look at the figure itself. So let's open up this box and have a look. I've been looking forward to this figure out of this wave, being a huge Revelation fan. Okay, I'm just going to leave this box here for its artwork. And here we go. And it's plastic bubble. We have Hero, we have his staff, and we have a pair of hands. So let's take him out of this packaging and take a closer look, shall we? So here he is out of the box, the Masterverse Revelation Hero. Again, on this side we have the Orlax of Preternia that killed his brother, and on this side we have his father. And this was all told in the Masters of the Universe Revelation prequel comics. I highly recommend it. It's written by Tim Sheridan, who I've had on the podcast, and he's really a terrific writer and a terrific guy. Highly recommend listening to that podcast. So let's take a closer look at this head sculpt here. And I think they really did a nice job with the Hero head sculpt. Not just with the sculpting itself, but with the paint application. And he's got this real chiseled chin. You know, the one thing I want to point out is underneath his chin here, you'll see that little gemstone on his breastplate. And when they first released pictures of the figures, I think it was back in June of 2022, but sometime in the summer, this was actually red. But in the Masters of the Universe Revelation Netflix series, this was supposed to be blue. So I immediately took it to Twitter and tagged Mattel and let them know, hey, is there any chance that, you know, you could turn this blue? And I made a few social media posts to please correct the color on the figure. And I don't know if it was me that spurred it, or possibly someone else, or possibly someone just realizing they made a mistake. But either way, Mattel corrected the mistake. If you notice, they didn't make the change quick enough here. It's red on the artwork, and it's also red in the wave portraits of Hero. But fortunately, on the figure itself, they were able to correct it, and it's blue. So thank you for listening. So Hero, on his back, he has a cloth cape, and this cape is actually removable. We can actually pull these clips out, lift the cloth cape off, and then put these clips back in, and he can be capeless, just like they recommend in the movie Incredibles. But I prefer the red cape here, so I'm just going to leave it on. The one thing I do want to talk about, I guess that was a little bit controversial, is this gold armor and his boots and his staff. And they were wishing it would appear like more of a golden color. Some people have suggested that this looks mustard in color. Actually, I saw someone make a joke that it looked like Grey Poupon mustard. I don't know if you remember those commercials where, you know, someone would say, "Pardon me, do you have any Grey Poupon?" And the other guy would say, "But of course." And I don't necessarily see mustard here, but maybe it would have fared better if it had a little gloss to it. You know how when you buy paint at your local hardware store, you could get different levels of gloss to it, different levels of sheen. So where it's like eggshell and semi-gloss, and flat has no gloss. This appears almost flat. And I guess it's a shame they couldn't use something maybe a little glossier. I see actually on King Grayskull's half of the power sword, or really that was his sword in the Revelation prequel comics, but that has a lot more shine to it. Same thing with the gold on his belt and the silver, I don't know what they're called, bucklers, or I'm not sure what this is, but there is a gloss to it. There's even a gloss to Hero's bracers here, but for some reason it's not on the armor, and maybe that would have created less complaints among fandom. I'm okay with it. I think he still looks good, but I understand that maybe some people are going to go ahead and want this to be a little more gold looking and maybe customize it with their own gold paint, but I actually don't think it really looks bad here. So this is Hero's staff. He has a gem inside. I think on the Classics version, it offered different gems, and I think it was a surprise every time. You'd open it up, you wouldn't know what color it is, and I think each color had different powers. But this is a nice weapon here. Actually, this has a lot of weight to it. And it's green, and it's translucent, but it's pretty cool. So here is Hero holding his staff, and he looks pretty cool holding it. I don't believe this was seen in Masters of the Universe Revelation, but it's still cool regardless. Just want to give you a warning that it does have a little weight to it. It is kind of hefty, and I'm not sure regarding putting him in like a dynamic position that it might fall out of position based on its weight. He can actually hold this with both hands because he has 30 points of articulation. That will be no problem. But with one hand, he might struggle to keep it up. It depends how tight your joints are. Actually, he's doing a good job there. So there you go. He looks pretty cool. So here we have Hero holding both halves of the power sword, just like we saw in Masters of the Universe Revelation, where he was perplexed that the conduit could be split in two. And maybe this is the way I'm going to display him on my shelf. Now, of course, these halves of the power sword came with the Masterverse King Grayskull figure, and I might just display the King Grayskull figure with a spare power sword. We'll have to see how I display it. But he looks pretty cool this way. But that's pretty much it in regards to accessories. Like I said, this doesn't come with Hero. You do get these hands. One's an open smacking hand, and the other one is a fist. And other than the staff, that's pretty much it. But I do like this figure, and if you're a Masterverse fan and a Masters of the Universe Revelation fan, I recommend getting your hands on this figure. I mean, this guy's a legend. Just ask Andra when she was fangirling out in Masters of the Universe Revelation. But this is really a good-looking figure, and I think he'd look really good displayed with King Grayskull, and especially if you ordered the Eternia playset, because in this continuity, that Eternia playset is heaven, just like you see in the back of the box. It's Preternia. So can you imagine having your Preternia set up behind, and you have these two figures displayed in the front? It would look fantastic. So this is a recommend from me. It's a recommend if you're a fan of Masters of the Universe Revelation. It's a recommend if you're a fan of Masterverse or just action figures. He's a little light on accessories. You might not like this staff, but overall, he's really, I think, a good figure. I'm glad I have him. And if you have the money, definitely try to pick him up if you can. So I want to thank you all for watching. If you like this video, please give it a like, and please subscribe to our channel and give us support, and so you don't miss future unboxing videos just like this one. So once again, I'm your host AJ, and thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.